That's appreciated. You don't know how good I'm going to be. For one thing, this is a brand new speech for me tonight. So if you do have feedback, I would love it. I speak on a regular basis to different groups around actually this state and Texas and Idaho. So I would love to hear feedback so I can get better and better every time. A little bit about me, if you didn't read the bio on Facebook, I am a serial entrepreneur. Long story short, I've owned 7 businesses. I'd say 4 of those went well. I'm not going to talk about the others. And started my first business when I was 25. My husband and I were stationed with the Marine Corps in San Diego. He was the Marine. I had the hardest job in the Marine Corps. That's being the wife. And I just knew at that point that I didn't want to be in education anymore. I had a master's degree in visual impairments, and it was always my backup plan. I went to college to play soccer, and I had 2 choices, business or education, and I thought business would be boring. And so I went education route, and then realized real quickly that it's not for me. Started my first business, San Diego, as a pet sitting and dog walking business. I put in $1,000 with a friend of mine who was a vet tech, and I said, I'll run all the behind the scenes, do the invoicing and figure out how to clients and find a way to market and all of that stuff, and you do all the pet stuff. And she was in. About 6 months later, she quit her vet tech job, and then 4 years later, we sold that business. And I moved back here to Lincoln. So not knowing what to do, and San Diego, by the way, some of you are in warm climates, 72 and sunny every day. Dog walking's a joy. I just knew coming back here, I didn't really know what else to do besides teach blind and visually impaired. And dog walking here is not a joy in February. And so I was like, not going to do that. But on my 30th birthday, I dropped my newborn baby off at daycare for a 12-hour day. You moms and mothers will understand. Went to a job at Lincoln Public Schools that I already knew I hated. Had a caseload of 26 kids in 9 different schools and 4 daycares that I was never going to be able to be excellent with because it was too much, right? They were paying us an extra hour every day because we didn't have planned time. That's how busy we were as the teachers for the blind. And I cried for 2 weeks. And I woke up one morning and I was like, I'm starting a pet sitting business because I know how to do that and I know how to make money. And my husband was like, you're crazy, it's Nebraska. You'll also be working every weekend, every holiday, every evening, and we have a child now. And I didn't care. The minute you tell me I can't do it, guess what? I'm gonna do it. So I started again, did that for quite a few years, had an awesome business partner named Tanya Tauke with Husker Volleyball, if you know her. She had a master's in marketing, taught me a lot. I did the rest of it. We hired a staff, and before you knew it, we were about a $250,000 business here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Had staff of 15, doing about 15,000 pet sits a year. That's a lot of people getting to the right place with the right information, with the right pets, with the right keys for $20 each time. That's a lot of work. And I knew from the get-go I wanted to sell that business. So we started the business already knowing we were going to sell it. Putting policies in place, having an operations manual, having contracts, and doing everything we could do the right way. And from there, it just rolled. People started asking me, how are you doing this? How are you making money at this? My husband doesn't want me out on weekends and evenings. How do you hire staff? I heard you should have independent contractors. Why do you have employees? And I started answering those questions. What I found out as a business coach is that if you charge, people listen. If you're free, they don't. So I started charging more money, and then more money and more money. And now today I still business coach. I'm also the integrator at Zane Granite. We run on the EOS system, and that is a team that I love. I'll share a couple of stories from that, but some of you know me from there. I was business coaching full time in 2020 when the pandemic hit, and all of my coaching clients kind of were like, whoa, I don't know if we can afford you right now because everything stopped. At a volleyball club, they were playing volleyball. I had a public speaking firm, no one's public speaking. I had a firm that was training banks and credit unions. No one was allowed in the bank or the credit union. Nobody was able to fly or leave or go anywhere, and everything stopped. I was also owning a brailing service at that time for the blind visually impaired. I had braillists all across the country, brailing for colleges and universities. It all stopped. And I was coaching Tim Zhang with Zhang Granite, and he was like, my phone is ringing off the hook. Come help. And I was like, well, I've been self-employed 25 years. I will suck as an employee. You tell me what not to do, I will do it. You tell me what to do, and I'll say there's a better way. We're not going to be a good fit. And he's like, let's try it till the world gets back to normal. Well, about 4 years later now, the world's kind of back to normal. And I love my team and I love my job at Zang. And Tim is the perfect boss for me. So that's where I come from, and that's how it got me here in front of you today. My talk today is really called Words Matter. And I thought about at the end of the year we could set goals or do that kind of stuff, but the more I watch social media, the more I listen to the news, the more I hear people talk about their experiences, the more I realize words matter. Your words matter. Your word matters. You move that S around a little bit and the whole premise changes. Your words matter. Your word matters. And so I'm going to hit on 4 points today about your word mattering. 1 is about promises. 2 is going to be positivity. 3 is called male, master, and team loyalty. And the last one's about legacy. Like I said, this is new to me, so I have my cards to help me out, and I am now over 40. So guess what? They have to be written big. The first one is biz is easy. Business is easy. Some of you are like, whatever. Yeah, I had those 3 businesses that I would say did not do well. But business is all about keeping your word. Setting the expectations right and beating those expectations. What do we say? Under promise, over deliver. We've heard it all, right? It is the key. If I just did what I promised I was going to do, I was successful. And sometimes I set low expectations because I knew to scale, I couldn't have high ones. And so how many of you have read The E-Myth Revisited? Excellent book by Michael Gerber. He talks in there about going to a barber shop. And when he's at the barber shop, the first time he goes in, the barber talks to him about all the techniques he's going to use and how he's going to get a great cut. And the assistant brings him a cup of coffee. He gets a shampoo. He has a wonderful experience. I don't quite remember. Might have gotten a back rub at the end. And he thought, wow, that was so worth the money and my time, and I love it, and I'm going to support this barber. He comes back the next time. He doesn't get coffee. He thinks maybe the assistant's gone, but she's there. He doesn't have a shampoo. The barber talked his ear off, but not about barbering. And he left there feeling like something was missing. And then the third time he goes in, gets his coffee, but not to the end. The barber doesn't say a word, and he has a back rub. And he stopped going because he didn't know what his next experience was going to be. It was unpredictable. It lacked consistency. And he didn't know how anyone else would make it feel. We need to be consistent in our promises to each other, to our clients, to our customers, to our business partners, to our relationships, because what we say and what we do through our actions matters. And I first realized this when I was business coaching in San Diego for free for a pet sitter who was talking to me, and she was very upset that she had lost a customer. That meant a lot to her because she didn't leave him a loaf of baked bread. And I'm like, wait, what? And she's like, well, every customer that's gone for 3 or more days, I bake them a loaf of bread and I leave it for them when they get home with a note that says, welcome home, hope you had a great trip, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, and I forgot this one time and the customer fired me. And I really started thinking about that. And that is because the expectation wasn't met. For one, as a pet sitter, our job is simple: keep the animals alive and lock the door. That's it. After that, it's just bonus. Are you a baker? Are you a pet sitter? Can you scale this at Christmas when you have 14 clients gone? Are you baking 14 loaves of bread when you're trying to do Christmas trees and have gifts with your kids and go to church and all the things that happens at Christmas? No, you're not. So when you're thinking about what expectations I'm setting out there, your words matter. What you do in your actions matter. She had set up an expectation that they were going to come home to a loaf of bread, broke that promise, had nothing to do with pet sitting, and couldn't be consistent for them and lost that client. you hold yourself, your staff, and your partners accountable, and I don't mean business partners, I mean the people you do business with, and you have that laid out in a qualitative statement. We do this a lot. Qualitative statement is, what bar am I going to set before I do business with you? I had my second business in San Diego was a referral business. So that community is highly military, transient, lots of people moving. Everybody goes home, shuts their doors, and doesn't know their neighbors. So I formed a business where you could call a 1-800 number or look at a website and get a referral for a pet sitter, dog walker, veterinarian, pet psychic, yep, was a real thing, and be able to know that you're getting a valued referral. I had qualifications: bonded, insured, licensed, certified in your area. If you had staff, they had to be employees, not independent contractors, and the list was short, 5 or 6 things. I was confident in giving your name out then. But if you do that with lots of areas of your life, then you hold your staff and yourself accountable, and you can keep your word. Some companies have core values. How many of you have core values, personal or company-wide? Those are your qualification statements. You're going to attract your tribe. You're going to have those values. At Zen Granite, we hire by them, fire by them, and evaluate by them. And when I say evaluate, I don't mean employees. I mean the relationships we're in. We get promised a lot of stuff by a lot of different people, but if they don't match up, we don't go with it. We also set a profit margin and stick to it. I'm really, really proud when we have to say no to a job because it's not going to meet our needs, which is a certain amount of profit. That isn't good for you flippers, I'm sorry. But it's good for us and where we want to go. And where is it based on? We have a 10-year goal. It's called the BHAG, Big Hairy Audacious Goal. We have a 3-year picture, we have a 1-year plan, and then every 90 days we set goals to reach those 1, 3, and 10-year goals. It works amazingly well, but we have to come up with qualifications. Easy enough that everybody sees it. I cannot tell you that how many times, I would say probably once a week, someone comes to us and says, I have a whole semi full of white quartz with gray veins, it's amazing and beautiful, and it's $10.99 a square foot. You can sell it for $35.99 a square foot. And I know it's full of crap, resin, and gonna bind up my saws and cause me more trouble than it's worth. So what we say to them is, if you have a website that shows your inventory, if you have a warehouse or a distribution center in Lincoln or Omaha, and if you have a 30-year warranty on that quartz, then we'll talk. But if that's not it, oh no, you put your own warranty on it. No, you put your name on it. You get to brand it, you get to name it, you get to call it what you want. I will tell you, our competition is eating that up. And we're not getting the sales for white quartz with gray veins. And I'm okay with that. We have certain qualifications and standards that we want to abide to, because our actions and our words matter to each other and to our clients. Point 2 tonight is we keep our promises. And we're human. So at Zhang, we work really hard to make it right. In all of my businesses, I have kept my promises. And that means having backup plans. How many of you are self-employed? It's a lot. Do you have a backup plan? You're making income for you, for your kids, for your family, for maybe other people, your subcontractors, your teams. You need a backup plan. Keyman Insurance is one of those plans. A succession plan is one of those ways to do that. God gifted me with a brain that thinks of the worst case scenario all the time. So even coming here tonight, I'm like, what happens if the heel breaks on my boot? What am I gonna do? You know, like all of that stuff. What happens if my car breaks down on the way there? I better get there early. Like, I am always thinking of, it's called productive paranoia, by the way, and it's a quality you should have when you're a leader. But I'm always thinking of what happens and what's the backup plan for that. Have a backup plan for everything you do so you can keep your word. So being as it's Christmas, and I already mentioned this too, but in a pet sitting world, which by the way I did for 17 years, so it's a big part of my life, Christmas is the biggest time for pet sitters. As you can imagine, lots of your clients go away, about 10%. So we would have 50 to 100 houses we were servicing at Christmas time here in Lincoln. And if there's a blizzard, we deal with it. And we scoop the walks and we get to every house, and we have, we would take dogs into our own homes because we knew we couldn't get them out to give potty breaks and all this stuff. We had backup plans upon backup plans. Disaster preparedness plan. I am telling you, I am probably the only pet sitter in Lincoln that had a disaster preparedness plan for a volcano. Real in Hawaii, not in Lincoln, but I had it. I had it written down and my staff knew what to do about it. So I learned this very valuably in San Diego when I was there. And we weren't really a part of it because we were brand new, my business partner and I. But there was a pet sitter, lone pet sitter, nothing wrong with that if you have backup plans. Busiest time of the year, San Diego, no problems with weather. Had about 12 to 15 families she was servicing herself. That's multiple visits throughout the day for multiple families. And her son committed suicide on Christmas Eve. Now, she didn't get sick, she didn't break a leg, she didn't get hit by a bus. But emotionally, she couldn't work. And other pet sitting companies came together. Now this was like 98, 99. So there was no online login, find out what the key code is. It was physically drive to her house, get the file, get the key, find out what the schedule was, and fill in. Their schedules were full too. But that community came together to help her in this time of need, in the busiest time, and gave her the money because she was going to need it. She didn't formally have a backup plan until after that. She was blessed by good partnerships, good friends, and people who knew her. Having a formal backup plan is better because you need to be where you need to be. If something happens to my husband, I want to be at the hospital by his side. If he passes, I'm going to be planning his funeral. I need to be there for my kids. I have parents that live in Lincoln. We have extended relatives that live here. Like, we need to be where we need to be, emotionally, physically, present. If something happens to me, what's the backup? What's your backup? That's a way for you to keep your word and make your promises. I always say, I think of the worst, but I do plan for the best. I have planned for Zhang to be at 10 million. When we make decisions and have processes, I say what will happen in 3 years when we are now having a inventory of 1,200 slabs instead of 600, and it used to be 60. Are we going to be able to do this? I worry about 10 years out now because I'm planning for the best and for the worst. I don't want to let anybody down in either way. And then when we have things, we write it all positively. We only make rules for the lowest denominator. And if you're the lowest denominator on my team, you're probably not going to be there very long. But we word things. Instead of having posters around that say, don't, whatever it is, don't forget, that's one of the worst ones, it's a 2 negative. We always say do. So instead of, hey guys, don't forget to flush the toilet or put the seat down, I work with a lot of men. We say, remember to put the seat down, or just please put the seat down, right? If we're like, don't put your hand in the saw, what are you thinking about? Putting your hand in the saw. So the word is, keep your hands away from the saw. Because then what are you thinking about? Keep your hands away from the saw. Positivity and how you phrase your words matters. If you're making goals, positive. If you're making rules, keep them positive. Expectations, keep them positive. And here's one, actual words. This is driving me crazy lately. So when I was coaching with Tim Zhang, I was his business coach for about 7 months before I joined as an employee. We were setting his core values. We have 5 of them. 5 is easy to remember. Should never have more than 7. 5. Family, trust, education, longevity through quality, and, I forgot it. Don't ever do it. Anyway. Family was not it, it was team loyalty. And he really wanted team loyalty. And then I spent about 2 months with the guy and never did he say team, and never did he say loyalty. And I was like, this is so weird. We're gonna put this on the wall. We're gonna hire, fire, and evaluate by it. And yet he says family all the time. This is my family, it's the Zhang family. We're gonna be like a family, I don't wanna be corporate. And I was like, why isn't family your core value? And he was like, because it's not business-like. Team loyalty is business-like. And I was like, ooh, throw that out. You don't even use it in your vernacular. Words matter. We talk a lot about family. We love our employees. We do make them family. We go to bat for them. We help them move. We give them loans. I mean, there's stuff there that we do, right? It's family for sure. One little change. How many of you refer to a master bedroom or a master bath? Do you have those in your houses? Are you still using the word master? We still have builders sending me prints with master, right? HGTV got rid of that like 5 years ago. It's called the primary, or something that took that away. We use primary now, so I remember that. In Europe, they use something else. But master implies a slave or an oppression. And I am not woke. If any of you follow me on Facebook, that is not my gig. But there are things that get to my core. And oppression is one of them. And I don't want to see it or hear it in my life or in my family or with my work. So we got rid of it, and we insist on primary. It's primary bath, primary bedroom. We don't say master. The other thing we don't say is male dominated. I don't know about you ladies, but it doesn't fly with me. I don't know too many men have ever dominated in my life. My dad raised a really great person, and it was me. To be a man and have a firm handshake and go into a room like this, be able to hold your attention. What do we say instead of male dominated? Do you know? Male populated. It's no lie. Countertops, 95% men, male in that group. I can walk into a room anytime I want. I am supported by the men on my team. I lead that team at Zang, and I have no problem with my competence because I am supported so well, but it is male populated for sure. I am in NAWIC, which is the National Association of Women in Construction, and they say male dominated. Every time there's a social media post, I shoot back. It's male populated, ladies, let's get it right. There's no domination on this. One last one that's just eating in my craw is, are you a freelancer or an entrepreneur? I'm a serial entrepreneur, 7 businesses where I've employed people, right? Freelancer, you work for yourself, no downline, no employees. You might be self-employed, we refer to it as that. Entrepreneurs do more. They build a business. They have the responsibility of other families on their shoulders. If you haven't done that, you don't know the weight. I know the weight. It's huge. When you're making financial decisions, when things aren't going right, when you're deciding what to cut and what to shoot for and what profitability you need to have, like all that profit, by the way, goes right in your pocket, right? Hardly ever. Since I've been at Zang, we've added paid time off, paid holidays, health insurance, what we call Zangware, a birthday lunch for everyone that has a birthday, connection lunches with people, and a simple IRA, which is like a retirement plan or a 401k for small businesses. That is all profit that we're able to do more with instead of lining Tim's pockets. I'm sorry, Tim. So, my fourth point, other than words, and that is don't break trust. Touched on it a little bit in that, baking bread when you're not a baker and delivering on that kind of stuff. But breaking trust can happen in a lot of ways. And one of the most popular ways in the countertop industry right now is we'll have people come in, they'll ask for a quote, we'll give them a quote in your typical small kitchens, $5,000, $6,000, and then they'll call me and they'll be like, but it's out of my budget. Could you please give me a discount? And I will tell you, if I give them a discount, I am breaking trust. Why is that? If it's a $6,000 job and I decide that $5,500 is good enough, they think what?
Should have charged $55 from the beginning.
Should have charged $55 from the beginning. You were taking me for all I was worth. You didn't need that extra $500. Why are you padding your pockets so much? All of those things go through their head. For a moment, instant gratification, they love the little discount. And then after that, everything is not right. Whether they realize it or not, those clients come up with more issues than anyone else because I broke trust. I didn't give them a fair price from the get-go. I was gouging them. I was padding my pocket with $500 extra. So we don't do it. If we have to lower the price, what do? We lower the scope. Yep, I can do $5,500, but you're not going to get that bathroom. Yep, I can do $5,500, but we're not going to put the fancy edge on it, the OG edge. We're just going to do an east edge. Yep, I can do $5,500, but you're going to have to get a level 1 granite instead of this beautiful quartz. Change the scope. How you approach it matters. You all are in negotiations all the time as business owners, as partners, as people of society, having your Airbnbs and all that stuff. Who are the people that ask for discounts more than anyone else? Friends and family. Is that what you said?
No, I said the difficult ones. But
oh, the difficult ones too. Friends and family. But I'm your buddy. But I'm your friend. Can't you give me a good deal? Now, I should say Neil should leave because he is my friend and he gives me a good deal. But that is breaking trust. Say what you mean. Have your qualifications. Know what profit you're supposed to be getting and go for it. When pet sitting was new, people didn't know if they should be tipping or not, and we get a lot of questions. So we added a gratuity line on our invoices that would go out. And some people would call and be like, you haven't even done the job yet, there's a gratuity line. And I'd be like, don't worry about it, mail it in later if you want to. But people were asking, we were trying to answer, we had the gratuity line. We earned another 1% maybe on all of our invoices. With that, and the pet sitters earned a little bump in their hourly wage or got cash left for them. But what really blew my mind was when I asked for gratuities on the bottom of the invoice. If I said, if your sitter's doing a great job for you, please leave a gratuity, and the gratuity line, we went up to 5%. 5% of our gross sales was in gratuity because we asked for it. If you ask, your friends will deliver, and that's not breaking trust either, right? We didn't give discounts. We asked for what we felt we deserved, and you get it. It's amazing what words can do. I think there's a lot of talk right now too about building a legacy, and maybe it's just me because I'm 50, and as you get older, lots of legacy talk happens. But what's the legacy going to be for you? Is it going to be that you kept your word? Is it going to be that you used the right words at the right time? Is it that you had these great relationships and through your actions you really did what you said you're going to do? Made a consistent experience for your friends, your family, and your customers and clients? Your employees, do they have a consistent experience? Stability is one of the biggest things people ask for in a workplace. Hope, trust, stability, and compassion. Stability is almost number 1. Please let me just know I'm going to have a paycheck tomorrow. Let me know I get to come in at 8, leave at 5. Let me know that the same people that I worked with yesterday are going to be here today, that you're taking care of me. Stability is really key. Building a legacy by words and actions doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a lot of time, a lot of transactions, a lot of interactions, a lot of relationships. I feel like a lot of you are probably building a legacy through real estate, through investing, through those relationships that you have, sale and transaction over and over again. You're giving people that come to Lincoln with the Airbnb an awesome experience. That is a legacy for you. Speak up and say, we are XYZ company and we do this and we're here for you. And that'll get around and it means a lot and all the good will come again. Having that legacy, saying what you mean, doing what you mean matters. I have a don't break trust story, and this one's really close to me, a little unbelievable still, but how many of us have teenage boys or sons, kids? How many of us have been a teenage boy? All those hands should be going up, right? I have 2, so I didn't really talk about my family. Been married happily for 24 years. And 4 other ones. My husband's CFO at Cornhusker Bank. His name is Perry Haralson. I often get asked, what do you do for a living? I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm in his shadow quite a bit. Love it. Cornhusker Bank is a wonderful family to be around. We have 2 sons. I have a 20-year-old at UNL and a 17-year-old senior at Lincoln Christian. He also spends half his day at the Career Academy in cybersecurity. Super smart individual, has pushed every frickin' button I have since he was 2 weeks old. I had to go out when he was 2 weeks old and buy all new onesies, because as soon as we put one over the top of his head, he would scream for 20 minutes. So we got all snap front onesies. Redid his whole wardrobe when he was 2 weeks old. Craziness. Anyway, his name's Nick Hayden, and he is the most politically correct kid I know. Total politician, complete con artist. If you ever meet him, run the other way. But I love him to death. He is a lot like me and a lot not like me. But pushing buttons is his specialty. So we're in an argument, and of course he's on his phone. It's before school, 7:35 in the morning. He's already running late. I'm running late. He won't get in the car. He's on his phone. He's not dressed yet. The whole struggle. And I am like, give me your phone. And he was like, make me. And I know with a 15-year-old boy and these old woman arms, I'm not going to be able to wrestle him, right? So I am like, there's no chance. And so I said again, give me your phone. And he was like, you can't make me. And I was like, I can. So he didn't remember that he had also been up past midnight several nights that week, and we had his prized computer in our bedroom. And he had detasseled for 2 summers to be able to build this gaming computer of his and spent about $1,500 on it. He builds all the computers at Zen Granite, by the way. But he put it all together. It was exactly what he wanted, the video card, all of that stuff. And it was in my bedroom because he'd been broken curfew a couple times. So I went in, picked up the computer, and I'm holding it. And I said, you give me your phone or I drop the computer. And he goes, you'd never do it. Yes, I will. I'm your mom, and I will call the cops on you, dude. Like, there is nothing you're gonna get away with me. I will keep my word every time, or I will die trying. We will make it right in the end. One of the worst parenting days of my life. He threw the phone at me, ran out the house without shoes on, it's winter time, and didn't show up at school. I don't know where he is. I drove to work because I have a frickin' job to do. And I turned around and I went back to the school and I was like, is he here? And they're like, yeah, he walked in, shoes and everything. You know, because I called them and was like, I don't know if he's gonna be there, he's probably gonna be late, blah, blah, blah. Please pray. He's a Lincoln Christian, so we can ask that. Go in, all the moms in the office are like, are you okay? Because I'm like crying. I'm like, I just need to see him. And they're like, okay. And he was in PE, and I walked in the gym, and I was like, we're going home. We're going to talk through this. We went home, fixed the computer, did the right stuff, spent a good 2 hours together with no phones and no TV on, and we have a great relationship. I keep my word, and my kids know that. If he ever needs to go to rehab, I'm sending his ass there. If my oldest does something that needs the same attention, I'm calling the cops first. I want them to be great young men. I want a legacy that's in my kids. I do the same for my staff and my businesses. And Zhang's not mine, it's Tim Zhang's, but gosh darn, it's mine. I take ownership of a lot of that stuff. A lot of the things I do, play hard, I work hard, and I do things that other people don't. To be in the 1%, you gotta do what the 99% won't do. I want you to do that. I want you to ask for what you want. I want you to use words that matter. Keep your word. Build promises through words and actions so that you can have great businesses, great relationships, and a great 2024. Word things in a positive way so that you can go further, faster with those surrounding you in this room. There is so much information out there, but the best information and the best relationships are those who are right near us. I think COVID taught us that. You can do so much remotely, but we have to be together. This group is awesome for it. I appreciate that I was able to come today. Thank you very much for paying attention and listening this whole time. I loved it, and that is the end. Don't bluff. So, thank you. Now, I would love your feedback, because I do that for a lot of groups, but I also know that Josh mentioned, could you talk a little bit about EOS, right? And I do have a little bit of time left. So EOS is the Entrepreneur Operating System. It is a book called Traction by Gino Wickman. There's about 7 other books also in that series. And we run it at Zang. I implemented it at Zang. I have helped other businesses implement it, not officially. I'm not an EOS implementer, just when they come to ask, like, how do you do this or do that? I don't implement it as like I'm not in their businesses, but I help like problem solve. Integrator is a specific job. I'm like, my job as integrator is to make sure we're profitable in all areas and that we have good communication across all functions of the business. I met Gino Wickman earlier this year, was completely impressed by all his books, way more impressed in person. So if somebody has questions about that, I'll be up here, I'd be happy to share stories or tips and tricks and all of that for that too. And then if there's anything else that I can help anyone with, I do business coaching, but I'm cutting back, frankly. It was too much to do 2 Zang, 40 hours, 50, 60 hours a week, and then also the business coaching. But I love to help. My core mission statement is to help people become occupationally free. I want you all to love the work that you do. Some of you want to be financially free, love that too. I want you to be occupational free, because then you have every opportunity to go do for others and for yourself what makes the most sense for you. And so whatever I can do to help that with, go to coffee, send you an email, make a connection, tell you a book I read, I'd be happy to share all those things. So thank you again.
Does anyone have any questions while she's up here?
Well, do you want me to, sorry?
Yeah, you can hang out. Some people might have some.
I just thought one-to-one. Yes.
You mentioned you had some businesses that failed. What were some of your biggest lessons that you learned from those that struggled?
Thank you. The question was, you had some businesses that failed. What was the biggest lessons? The referral business I talked about, I started like a year before we left San Diego, so I just didn't have enough time. I didn't give myself enough time. I sold that business for $1. And $1 sounds weird, but our lawyer said, don't give it away for free. So we were like, okay, but it has debt every month. So we sold it for $1, and it grew after that. We set it up well to do that, but I just didn't have enough time to put into it before we were done with the Marine Corps and moving back here. So give yourself time. It always takes more. We had a built-in base of customers. I'm still surprised that so many people are like, well, I don't want to give anyone my phone number yet because I'm not ready. And I'm like, you cannot be ready and still give your phone number out. Like, just start. Because most businesses take 3 to 5 years to get up and get rolling. And 3 to 5 years is a lot. It's a lot of time to put in 60, 70 hours a week and pay someone else beside yourself. Build your inventory, build your credentials, build your knowledge, build your network, all of that stuff that you guys value and talk about. I would just say we didn't give ourselves enough time. Another one was Young Living. Essential oils, I use them every month. I love them. Had a team of about 60, but just could not get that MLM structure to work for me. I'm an introvert way more than I'm an extrovert, and to be in front of people and trying to motivate them and get them to sell more all the time didn't work. So I just could have, my mom was in Mary Kay 30 years. I probably should have known, but it just wasn't a good fit for me. And then I owned Organized by Design with Wendy Tridle for about 6 months. We were very good friends. We have boys the same age. We went on several vacations together before we decided to be business partners. And I'd had business partners in the past, Tanya Tauke for one, who is my best friend still to this day. I'm one of 150 of her friends, but she's my best friend. And with Organized by Design, I did not ask the right questions going in. What are your core values? Do they match my core values? What's our mission going to be? How are we going to achieve our goals? Are we going to do inventory or just services? What does this look like? Thankfully, Wendy and I have both come through that. I totally support her. By the way, she's my interior designer, and every November she comes to my house and turns it into a winter wonderland, which I love. And every January she comes back and puts it all away. She also does all the pots in front of my house, spring and fall, to make them look beautiful, as if I'm a landscaper, but I'm not. And so we're past that and good friends now, but it was really rocky for a while. So ask more questions. Core values matters a lot more than how much are we going to invest and how much are you going to get paid and I'm going to get paid and what are you going to do and what I'm going to do. It just really sets the tone. No core values are wrong. They're just different. So it's not like someone's core value is to steal every dollar from the client and the other one's core value is to give everything away. I mean, it's not like that. It's just some things are, we need to look for professional, and this isn't hers, but we need to look professional, wear suits, have the makeup, the nails, the hair done all the time. And I'm way more authentic than that. And so you'll see me in the grocery store wearing yoga pants and no makeup on. And so there's different values for different people and they're right. But I didn't ask enough questions in that. So thanks for that opportunity. Another question?
Well, okay, so when you talk about that, would you say that you started businesses to help and to service people, but possibly that passion was lost in the ones that weren't successful, and it was just money, and that's not really what you were about? So do you see that?
So your question is kind of like, did the
relate to success, and when it wasn't related to the job, you kind of just kept going?
Say it again. Sorry.
Like your core values, the reason you do business in general, every time it's for the right reason, and eventually the job can take turn, and you don't have that passion. So do you see the connection between your successful businesses and the ones that didn't, based on your core values?
Okay, so based on my core values, did the businesses I have not succeed because there was a conflict there? And I would say my partnerships, if I had failed partnerships, there was more than one, were because of that, because of the core value. A lot of people, Simon Sinek says, start with why. You have to have your passion. You have to know why you're doing something. And my why heavily drives me. And I'm sure there'll be a time when I'm done at Zhang. Just like there was a time, I didn't mention this in my opening, but I did teach for 25 years. I owned a company. Well, it's still by the same, my coaching company, Visionary Education, where I consulted with small school districts around the state because there's a shortage of Braille and visually impaired teachers. And God gifted me with that master's degree and with that talent. And I would only work with excellent school districts, but there was a time too when I was done. So I don't know that it's necessarily a core value match. I'm also very profit driven. One of my motivators is money, good or bad. It just is. But it's also about having the people around you. So a conflict with partnerships more than businesses.
I ask because I can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman with white gloves, but I do it once. That's kind of rude. And I could sell car insurance and health insurance, but it's so same thing.
Right.
What you believe in and why you do anything is what drives you to be successful. And if you are helping
Yes.
out and making a good environment, then you pretty much just set yourself up.
I think you have to have your why, and it has to be powerful. Otherwise, you're not going to want to pay your employees first instead of you. You're not going to want to, you're not going to make the right decisions for what you're doing if you don't have that already set out. Yes. Another question? Yes.
I've got two different questions. One, in the field of visually handicapped, have you ever worked much with the school in the Nebraska City and State School?
Yes. So the question was, did I ever work in Nebraska City at the Center for the Education of Blind and Visually Impaired Students? It's NCECBBI. It's a lot. Yes, that's where I went to class for 3 summers in a row to get my master's, in addition to more classes at the University of Nebraska. And then I there were programs and things that participated there. They don't have very many students there anymore. They live there in the dorms if they do. And there are students that need lots of assistance in lots of ways, not just visually impaired. The visually impaired students usually go to their schools, their home schools. But yeah, I have lots of connections still in that area.
I'm from Nebraska City, I'm very familiar with the secondary.
Yes.
Very good people.
It's an excellent resource for our entire state. It's just sad that it's out so far east.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, secondary question. With partnerships, have you ever heard of the philosophy, before you enter into a partnership, play some type of game with the people that you're going to go into, something, a board game, a card game, golf, whatever? Because I've always learned that people in playing a game will really put out their real selves.
I would say that's true with golf, because it's 4 hours long. Anybody can put a charade in. I'm gonna give away all my secrets. When I go to a connection lunch with an employee, I always go for 90 minutes or more, because anyone can fake it for 60, and then it gets really hard to do that after that. I get more real answers and more real personality after the 60-minute mark. I think, yeah, I can play a game. I mean, in regards to Wendy, she raised 3 boys, I raised 2, and we went on vacations together. I mean, there's a lot we did, and it still didn't work out. So there's different ways and things that you can do with different people to find out their true selves. If you went through a tragedy, that's probably the best way, but we don't want to fabricate tragedies. So, I mean, I agree. I also, for right or wrong, feel like you really don't know someone until they're in the trenches with you. So for business partners, employees, or anything else, really don't see the real them for 30 to 60 days or after the 1 hour mark if you're out to lunch. So there is that. When I had my pet sitting company, I also had a really great set of like middle level managers, and I would have them go with the newbie, and I'd have them both listen for the same thing and then tell me. If anything came up was like, don't tell Jen, but we actually do it this way. Don't tell Jen I don't use the harness on this dog. Don't tell Jen I never bring my key to this house. I always leave it at home and I only use the garage code. Don't tell, like any of those things would come up. That was true. That was a pretty true view of character. So if you can get that from a friend, if anyone's saying, don't tell Bob what, don't tell Jim what, then that's a pretty good indicator as well. Anything else then? I don't want to tell you all my tricks. I still need to have a job tomorrow. I still need to have coaching, so awesome. Thank you. I'm over here if you want more.